Oh, well, howdy everybody. So, this is an interesting new development we got here. Last week, Vevor got a hold of me, and apparently too many of you have been watching, and they decided that they would like me to demo some of their products, and sent me a list of a few things that they asked if I was interested in demoing for you guys on the channel. And some of them were things that I didn't really need right now, like a mag drill and a portable bandsaw. I've got both of those things. But then, one of the things on the list was their 50 amp plasma cutter. Now, they said they'd send me one of these, no questions asked, if I went ahead and did a review of it. And here's the thing, there are a lot of Chinese companies that I would have told to pound sand, but Vevor is actually one of the few that I have got some respect for. I don't know that I've talked about it much before, but I use the variable frequency drives on a lot of bridge ports. I do a lot of that, installing them in shops and garages and stuff. They don't have three-phase. And I have on my bridge port, I have a Vevor digital readout and a Vevor power feed. Now, I'm not going to say they're the best stuff out there, but I'm going to say bang for the buck. I don't think you can beat them on that kind of stuff. Now, I have no experience with this. We're going to find out together. But I got to say, it made me a lot more inclined to say yes to checking this out. I've had absolutely no problems with any of the Vevor stuff I've got. And I think here's what I'd say about them in general from my previous experience, is that they seem to be doing a better than average job of quality control. Where, like I say, they've got her packed right in here. There is no chance of this thing rattling around. It's impressive. So I guess that's off. We're off to a good start there. I'd say you got a pretty good chance of this thing showing up in one piece with the level of packaging they've got going on there. I had seen this box had a pretty good gouge in the side of it. It had me a little worried, but they've got it in a double cardboard box with some kind of pretty aggressive foam padding around it. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing busted out of here. So here's a piece of air hose. I'm most curious about is what their tip arrangement looks like. Now I noticed they have a very long cable. I forget, it's like 16 feet long or something, which I'm pretty excited about that. Boy, the gun looks pretty nice. Got a ball swivel kind of attachment on it here to give it some flex. Hey, I'm in the process of setting this up now, and I just wanted to show you something. This is the kind of thing that I see Vevor doing that is, I'll say, better than average. This is the Pilot Arc terminal, and I just noticed I'm putting together. So it's a crimp connector, but they've actually gone ahead and soldered this thing into the wire. This is the kind of thing that the other Chinese manufacturers are not doing. Just, you know, little stuff like that is the reason that I've kept buying Vevor stuff myself. Like, they seem to really be thinking about how can we make our products better. So, all right, guys. Alright, so we're back. I've got this thing all set up, plumbed in. So anyhow, we're going to fire this up. It's the first time. Alright, Wiggles, throw the switch. First time we're putting power to it. Well, she's alive. So anyway, we are going to, I actually have a project. I'm wanting to make a guard for that screw and vise setup that I've got for that Trenjager saw that we just built the vise for. And I want to split this piece of 4-inch square tube. This is the maybe running a little bit hot on the go, but not bad. I'm going to twist up a little more air pressure there too. So we're going to try flipping this thing over. Alright. Let's try another cut with hopefully me having my poop in a pile a little bit better. Oh, helps a lot if you connect your ground. Shockingly better that way. Running into my clamp back here. Alright, we're getting the hang of her there. So the first time I went through, I was going way too fast. Second time, I was going too slow. And this time, we got her dialed in about right. That did a fantastic job. I'll bring you guys and let you see here a minute what I'm seeing. So the first cut you can see is the one on your left. It's a little spattery and unclean. You can see that one on the right, super clean cut. A pretty stinking nice cut. I'm sold on the idea for what it is. Now what I want to do is some experiments here a minute, and we're going to crank up and see, okay, how thick will this thing sever? But the honest truth is, for what you're paying, it's a heck of a buy. That's just all there is to it. A piece of 3/8 aluminum. Let's see what this stuff does. I'm just going to leave the settings on Chernobyl mode here and see what it does. I've got her pegged right to the top. We're just going to see what happens. Piece of 5/8. Now, in the manual, they say 9/16 is maximum capacity. So I'm going to tell you right now, I am exceeding what they say this machine will do. Alright, let's see if she'll cut 5/8. This is, like I say, beyond what they say the limits of this machine is. Okay, I don't believe I can complain with that. I mean, you're clearly getting a lot of scalloping at the edge and stuff, but by golly, it blew 5/8. One thing I'm noticing, by the way, guys, is there's little or no delay between pull the trigger and arc. The miller's got like a 3-second safety delay in there. So my 2 cents would be, it's taken some getting used to, because I'm used to pull the trigger and wait, and this is you pull the trigger and you're going. So don't aim it at something you don't want to cut, but it definitely, you can get to work a lot faster. Alright, so she's a bit goobery, and it's slow. But it will chop off 3/4 inch. 6 amps. And it just there it is. Yeah. Super, super clean cut. I'll show you that. I mean, which you would expect, but you guys that are doing, you know, body work type stuff, this thing would be the shiznit. I just thought I'd show a little bit more video of cutting some 1/4 inch. This is where this thing's really in its sweet spot. Like, cuts half decent. 1/4 inch, this is like no sweat all day. I'm on 45 amps right now. You see, that thing is just like a hot knife through butter cutting 1/4 inch up. Just slice her off, nice clean, almost no slag on the bottom edge. Just slice after slice. Frankly, I'm starting to suspect that I may get rid of the mill. Anyway, I'm happy with it. I'd say I'll upload some more. I'll have link stuff in here because I believe they're going to send a link for a discount code for you guys. I forget what it is, and they said something about if you use the code, I think I can get a 5% kickback on the sales. I don't care about that. I've watched a couple other people's videos, and they said it was enough hassle to set up to get the kickback that they hadn't bothered doing it. I can't imagine I'm going to bother to either, but I think there is a code that you can punch in that saves you some money, so I'll put a tail ender on this video and show that. And anyway, that's it for now. Hey everybody, I thought before I just close this video all down, I would give you, I've played with this thing some more, had time to think about it, and just basically give you a summary of my thoughts on this thing. So, just kind of running through it. Obviously, they sent me this thing for free. They didn't have any crazy terms or conditions, like there was no contracts. They're not paying me any kickbacks. They just gave me this thing for free and said, will you do it or do a review of this on your YouTube channel, which, I was thinking that over and I realized, if I was a company from another country and I wanted to break into a market and get market exposure, I guess what I realized, like, that's a reasonable thing to do, right? Like, get a hold of people here and say, will you try our stuff out? And so, with that in mind, my 2 cents on it is this. If I could have found a video of somebody like me, like somebody that I'd watched a bit, that I knew wasn't a total idiot. I mean, okay, maybe you think I'm an idiot, but that's all right. You're allowed to that opinion, or entitled to that opinion. But somebody that I'd seen actually using one of these and said, here's what it'll do. The fact is, I wouldn't have ever bought my Miller. I don't think I looked at Vevor, but I looked at some of the other little import inverter type plasma cutters. And frankly, I thought there is absolutely no way that thing even works. At the time, they were like $300. And I thought, there's no way that thing's even functional for $300, much less does even half of what they claim it does. After having laid hands on this and run it, it is not a Hypertherm, it's not a Miller, it's not a Lincoln, it's not, top-of-the-line American-made stuff. But for the price point, I frankly think it's an unbeatable deal. And I'm currently debating whether I get rid of my Miller. It's clunky, it takes up too much space, the consumables cost way more. I think on the thickest stuff, that Spectrum 500 is a little cleaner cutting, say in the 1/2 inch. I mean, this thing's really not designed to go much beyond 1/2 inch, and neither is the Miller, frankly. But I think it might cut a little cleaner, but the thing I don't know yet is I haven't had it long enough to really play with, the amperage setting, okay, on thick stuff, you pretty much peg that, but there is something to playing with the air setting, because different orifice sizes, and orifice designs play nicer with different air pressure. So there's some of that where it may just be some dialing in. But I'm noticing on 1/2 inch, I'm getting a little bit more slag on the trailing edge than what I get with the Miller. But the Miller is 30 years old, and I paid $350 for it and was pretty tickled to get that for that price when I got it. If I would have had one of these, had access to actually believing that it even worked, I'd have never bought the Miller. And my 2 cents are, if you're doing a heavy industrial, I don't think even Vevor is saying yeah, you should have this on a job site. I think it's set on it somewhere that it's a 30% duty cycle. Okay, so if you're out there burning through 10 feet of 1/2 inch plate, it's got a temperature overload in it. It's going to probably, kick out and say, you know what, we need a break. But for somebody puttering around a garage, like me, right? I'm not a full-time fab guy. I'm a machine shop, glorified blacksmith shop, where I just want to quick cut something. For the money, I can afford to own one of these, right? Unless I get a job that specifically needs a big plasma cutter, I'm never going out and buying a Hypertherm or anything like it. I can't justify the investment for as little as I would use it. For the $200 this thing costs, I say 200, I keep rounding it up, but I think right now, with the discount codes and stuff that they give you, I think this thing ends up a little over $180 shipped to your door, if I remember right. I frankly think it is the buy of the century. So my 2 cents on it is, for the money, I think it's a heck of a tool. Yeah, you'll have to tinker with some stuff like I did. Like I say, I threw away 2 of the hose clamps and put American ones on because hose clamps weren't sealing and they were so rinky that, you couldn't get them to tighten up without stripping them out. But I guess for the money, I'm willing to screw with some stuff like that, is my 2 cents. And I think it's an excellent value for what you're getting. So that's my honest opinion of it. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt. They sent me this one for free, so I haven't got any money in it. But you watched me on camera. It does everything they claim it does, and then some. So I guess that was probably the most impressive takeaway from this whole thing for me, was the fact that, as far as I can tell, its capacities and capabilities are not exaggerated. And frankly, that's unusual for a Chinese company. The ones that, different Chinese tools I've got, and I think, getting back to where I started with saying, I've got a Vevor digital readout on my mill, a power feed. I think that's the thing that has had me buying Vevor stuff just for my own use already before they even got in touch with me with this, is the fact that everything I've got from them does what they claim it does. And that's impressive. And that's the thing that gets you going back, because I've got to a level of trust with them to know, okay, it's going to get the job done that they say it's going to do. So anyways, I guess if you guys have any questions, feel free to message me. If you got questions about it. And the other thing is, you're going to keep seeing this thing get used. I'm not just doing a review and then walking off. That's why I've got it sitting here by this. This is this potting spade project. These are the new shovels. I've got to fabricate all this stuff up. To get these broke up, I had to get them broke wider than what they need to be and without that radius on them. So this is a plasma job, and this one's the one that I'm going to do it with. So sometime in the next week or 2, you're going to get to see this thing in the process of getting rebuilt, and you're going to see me putting that plasma cutter to work doing it. So I guess that's another thing. If you've got any doubts or questions, keep watching videos, because you're going to see this thing pop up when fab and work comes up that needs it, because honestly, it's way cheaper to run. That's the biggest single advantage. Even if it was cut for cut identical to the Miller, I'm going to run this one because consumables are a complete, let's see here, with the price I paid for them, the electrode, the tip, and then the porcelain cut, the whole combination is costing me about $1. I think I'd have to do the math. I think I'm at even with aftermarket, because I can't even get Miller stuff for that one anymore. It's obsolete. I want to say that I'm, even with Chinese aftermarket stuff on the Miller, I'm at $8 a set. So, that right there makes my decision for me. If this thing will do the job, which it very well has proven it will, it's so much cheaper just in consumables that I will strictly be running this one, and that's why, frankly, the only reason I would keep the Miller is a backup in case something happens to this, and I'm thinking about throwing the Miller on Facebook Marketplace and going and buying another one of these if I think I need a backup. So, anyway, that's long and short of it. So yeah, if you got any questions, shoot them my way. But that's my 2 cents. I think for the sub $200 that it costs, I frankly don't know what else you get that'll do as much work as it will for the money. Catch you guys next time.